We're waiting on the quiche. Jared made a sausage and spinach quiche.
Does it have egg?
It does have egg. It's like an egg pie.
Kind of the definition of a quiche cream.
It's awesome. We need quiche. I'm off to go get barbecue with James. He's found some new place down in Kansas City, Kansas called Slaps. The reviews look incredible. That's something to leave the house for. Good barbecue is something to leave the house for. Real men eat quiche and barbecue. I don't know what this whole real men thing is. That's just dumb. Real men? What the heck is a real man? That's dumb. Here's how you know your barbecue joint is good. There are folks waiting outside. There's a line before it even opens. Oh yeah, this is fantastic. I'm stoked. Something up there called a one meat plate? That's ridiculous. Who eats one meat? We're going brisket combo. I'm looking forward to meat sweats as it is. Okay, so briskets, pork.
Good pork.
Slaw and beans the way it's supposed to be, not this hush puppy nonsense. What is the hush puppy nonsense?
That's Southern barbecue.
What do you mean, hush puppy nonsense?
It's got sausage and
I got burnt
ribs,
ends.
burnt ends.
Ribs.
That's the way. This is Dove, y'all. This is James' father-in-law. And I dare say my favorite Texan on the planet.
Marcy might be.
Sorry, other Texas 10s. Sorry. I was in there a total of 25 minutes. That was it. In and out. The doors open. I literally walked in as they were opening the doors. We had ordered, we had eaten, we were out of there. Because the thing is, in a joint like that, you gotta move. You gotta get out of the way because the line, I mean, there's still a line. Yeah, I'm looking, there's still a line of people. Now, it does not even compare to my favorite place. And I'm not even gonna tell you the name of that place because it's one of those places where I don't need you jokers descending upon my favorite spot when I want to go. But I'm telling you, Slaps Barbecue here on Central Avenue. Is it Central Avenue? Yeah, Central Avenue in Kansas City, Kansas. Apparently they won some stuff. I didn't look. They won some stuff, like national award winner. Their pork is great. The brisket, not so much. Not so much. But their pork ribs, their pulled pork, dub. Thank you. Thank you very much for barbecue. Not only is it a pleasure seeing you, but by golly, barbecue. That guy's doing a yeoman's job. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Truckers. My sister works for a trucking company. You met my sister. I think she's what's called a fleet manager. It's her responsibility to make sure that trucks get to where they are. And I've been reflecting this morning about that, you know, kind of jokey thing that I said that, you know, real men eat quiche. What the heck is a real man? Because by all patriarchal standards, I am anything but a real man. I'm kind of soft. If we're gonna be honest, I'm a soft guy. I wouldn't say I'm a weakling. I wouldn't say I'm a wuss, but I would say that I'm just not a terribly manly man. And then, you know, I'm driving through Kansas City, Kansas, seeing a lot of guys, you know, pulling their rigs in, backing up to load and unload, and you know, I'm thinking, good Lord, I mean, if we're gonna compare what real men are, those guys are real men. This morning, Rowan was sharing with us about something that he was learning in school about being a bystander or being an upstander, and how bystanders just stand by while bad things are happening to people, but upstanders stand up for the people to whom bad things are happening. And of course, being a pastory type, I told him the story of the Good Samaritan, right? Good Samaritan. He said, what are you talking about? Like, you know, what's a Samaritan? What is that? And I shared with him that at least in the biblical era, Samaritans were people that Jews would refer to as the dogs. They thought that they were inferior and unintelligent and lazy and gross. And I said, you know, it's kind of like the way that a lot of people right now, particularly Republican candidates, will talk about immigrants. And this little boy started crying because one of the people that he admires the most in his life is actually Ian's boss, Manny, who with his wife owns the best Mexican restaurant on the planet. But he said, you mean people would say something like that about Manny? And he starts crying. He's like, they don't even know him. And I said to him, you know what? That is exactly right. That is exactly right. And the fact that you care so deeply about someone who is your friend, someone who is your neighbor, is just so pleasing to me. I don't think I said it like that. You don't say pleasing to me to a 7-year-old. But now that I'm thinking about all this manly stuff, like that's what being a real man is. That's what being a real man is. Being a real man is giving a shit about other people and caring deeply and wanting to make sure that other people have a good life and are fulfilled and live well. But I told him, I said, you've got something beautiful inside of you in that you care so deeply about other people. As you grow up and think about what you want to be when you get bigger, I hope that you remember that and try to make that a part of who you are. That's being a real man. On the way back from lunch, I stopped by my office and got our really nice speakers that I had been keeping there. Gerald and I have been talking about getting the turntable out of my nerd box up into the upstairs where we could actually listen to our records, because I don't really listen to my records very much because it's stuck down here in the box. But it's Christmas time. It's time for me to review my favorite music of the year. So I thought I'd, you know, go ahead and hook it up down here. That way I can listen through my records. All of my favorite albums throughout the year I've bought on vinyl. Today's gonna be a day of listening to music. Here is, small as it is, my vinyl collection. I've got some really good stuff in here, like my favorite album of all time, Stevie Wonder's Talking Book. I'm sorry, you have never heard anything until you've heard Superstition on vinyl. I like music a lot. For the last, I don't know how many years, my friend Rocky and I have sent musical recommendations to one another every week, if not multiple times a week. For about 4 years, at the end of the year, we do Music of the Year lists. What are our top albums of the year? What are our favorite songs of the year? There are 2 albums this year that I want to mention that didn't reach like the upper echelon of albums for me. The first one that I want to tell you about is actually by a guy that I know who's getting some really big play. His name's Carl Kling. Carl makes incredibly smart musical choices. His melodies don't go where you think they're going to go. He makes great arrangement choices, and plus his voice is just beautiful. I mean, it's really a joy to listen to. So my number 6 album of the year is Carl Kling's self-titled album. My number 5 album of the year is actually Ryan Adams' cover of Taylor Swift's 1989. Now, Ryan Adams I've not historically enjoyed, but there is something about the combination of the way that Ryan Adams arranges music and sings music and the way that Taylor Swift writes, that this combination, this cover album just, I mean, it was really good. I've had Bad Blood on repeat for weeks. Ultimately, it was not really about the artist that Ryan Adams was. What that album did for me is showed me what a great songwriter Taylor Swift was. And so, sorry, Ryan Adams, you did a great job, and I freaking love your album, but not album of the year for me. My number 4 album of the year may be a surprise to a lot of people. It is Mumford & Sons' Wilder Mind. Not album of the year, not a perfect record by any stretch. They're definitely falling back on some of the patterns and some of the musical vocabulary they've been developing over the last few years. And quite frankly, that English folk thing doesn't entirely transfer over to the electric thing that they're doing now. But they've got great intuition, they're making great choices, and I really think that you should give Wilder Mind a listen. Mumford & Sons' Wilder Mind, Landon's number 4 album of the year. Okay, my 3rd favorite album of the year is an album I did not see coming at all, and that is They Might Be Giants' Glean. I have never been a They Might Be Giants fan. Actually, that's not true. They Might Be Giants put out some really spectacular kids music. I mean, it's disturbingly good. It's the kind of music that I listened to even when my kids weren't around. The thing about this album is that it features every single musical muscle that the Johns have. My absolute favorite song on this is The Answer. Oh, and also Hate the Villanelle. Like, they're just bringing out their genius, clever minds on these things. That's always been a hallmark of They Might Be Giant stuff, is that they're freaking smart. I didn't even know what a villanelle was. I'm not going to tell you right here. You have to go look it up. But it's don't hate the villain, hate the villanelle. They Might Be Giants' Glean, Landon's number 3 album of the year. Okay, my number 2 album of the year was actually the album that I thought was going to be album of the year when the year began. And that is The Decemberists, What a Terrible World, What a Beautiful World. I was convinced this was the album of the year. I've never really listened to Decemberists. They've not been kind of my speed. But there is something serious about this album. This is an expansive album, a rich sounding album. I cannot recommend this album highly enough. And in fact, if the number 1 album had not come out, this hands down would have been the album of the year. Decemberists, What a Terrible World, What a Beautiful World. Landon's number 2 album of the year. All right, my number 1 album of the year, Death Cab for Cutie, Kintsugi. This album is just remarkable. I think one of the only reasons why it edged out Decemberists for album of the year is that this album sounds like music I want to make. I mean, it's really that simple. I want to make this kind of music. It is inspiring, it is rich and deep, it is just so good. The sequencing on this is really remarkable. Favorite songs on this album, Little Wanderer, I think is my top song on this album. Black Sun, just good. The lead-off track, No Room in Frame, oh, it's just, it gets your blood pumping. Hold No Guns, delightful piece of music. Very subtle, very laid-back, acoustic. Landon's number 1 album of 2015, Death Cab for Cutie, Kintsugi. You will be happy.